I spent my life on the open road. My parents hate flying, so we've crossed 42 states in a Subaru. I thought I'd seen everything until I saw him. A boy, pale and freckled, wearing a Velociraptor t-shirt. I saw him in the Appalachian foothills. Then, a week later, I saw him again. In Kansas. Same shirt, same stare. Everything changed at a truck stop in Michigan. On a bulletin board crowded with missing persons, I saw his face. Michael "Mikey" Wilkins. Missing since 2009. My heart dropped. He hadn't aged a day. I told myself he was a ghost, but ghosts don't make the hair on your neck stand up like an electric shock. 6 months later, in the Arizona desert, I caught him. I chased him through a maze of big rigs into a hidden campsite. I asked him, "Are you a ghost?" He looked at me with hollow eyes and whispered, "Go away. It's not safe around me." But it was too late. The air turned icy. A massive hand, covered in a blood-red rubber glove, clamped over my face. The smell of old engine oil was the last thing I knew before the darkness took me. Woke up in a Volvo. Mikey was there. I ran to the police nearby, but my hand passed through them like smoke. I shouted, but I was a whisper in a storm. "You're in the waiting now," Mikey told me. "It's a glitch in the world. You can visit any rest stop in the country, but the moment you try to leave the property, you're flashed to another one. Vermont, Texas, Oregon, it doesn't matter. You are tethered to the pavement. We don't age. We don't get hungry, though we eat stolen vending machine snacks just to feel alive. But we aren't alone." Mikey warned me about the Red Gumbies, entities in blood-red rubber suits that drive a silent, black tanker truck. They are the ones who harvest the waiters. My parents are terrified of flying, so we've crossed 42 states in a silver Subaru. I thought I knew the rhythm of the road until I saw him. The first time was in the Appalachian foothills. A boy, maybe 12, pale with light brown curls, wearing a vintage Jurassic Park t-shirt. He just stared at me from the tree line of a rest stop. A week later, we were in Kansas, 1,200 miles away, and there he was again. Same shirt, same empty stare. He was standing by a vending machine, a Dr. Pepper in his hand that never seemed to lose its fizz. I tried to approach him, but my mom called me back to the car. As we pulled away, I felt an electric sting on the back of my neck. I looked in the rearview mirror, and he wasn't looking at the cornfields anymore. He was looking directly at me. The real terror started in Michigan. We stopped at a massive travel plaza. On the missing persons board, tucked between faded flyers, was his face. Michael "Mikey" Wilkins. Missing since October 13th, 2009. My blood turned to ice. The boy I had seen twice in the last week had been missing for 17 years, and he hadn't aged a single day. Part 2, the Arizona incident. 6 months passed. I tried to tell myself it was a coincidence, a kid who looked like the flyer. But then we hit the Arizona desert. The heat was shimmering off the asphalt like a fever dream. We pulled into a truck stop surrounded by massive boulders and endless rows of big rigs. I saw the Raptor shirt ducking behind a trailer. This time, I didn't wait. I chased him. He led me through a maze of parked trucks into a hidden area behind a cluster of rocks. There was a tattered tent and a rusted cooler. It looked like someone had been living there for a lifetime. "Mikey!" I shouted. He spun around, his eyes bulging with fear. "Go away," he rasped. His voice sounded like grinding stones. "It's not safe. You shouldn't be able to see me yet." I asked him if he was a ghost. He stepped toward me, and I felt a sudden, unnatural drop in temperature. "I'm not a ghost," he whispered. "I'm a placeholder." Before I could ask what that meant, the sun seemed to blink out. A massive hand, covered in a thick, blood-red rubber glove, clamped over my mouth. It smelled of sulfur and old engine oil. The world went black. Part 3, Welcome to the Waiting. I woke up in the back seat of a car I didn't recognize. Mikey was behind the wheel. I scrambled for the door, screaming for my parents. I saw our Subaru parked near the entrance, surrounded by police cars. I ran to a cop, screaming that I'd been kidnapped. The officer didn't even blink. He walked right through me, literally. I felt a cold shiver as his body passed through mine like mist. I tried to grab his arm, and my hand slid through his skin. "It won't work, Dash," Mikey said from the car. "You've crossed over." I tried to run onto the highway, desperate to get away. The moment my foot hit the grass beyond the rest stop shoulder, there was a blinding white flash. Suddenly, I wasn't in Arizona anymore. I was standing in a rain-slicked parking lot in Vermont. 10 miles to Burlington, the sign said. I had traveled 2,500 miles in a heartbeat. Mikey was standing there, leaning against a lamp post. "Welcome to the waiting," he said. "The place between places. You can visit any rest stop in the country, but you can never, ever leave the pavement." Days turned into weeks, though time felt thin in the waiting. Mikey showed me the ropes. We could eat anything we wanted. We'd walk into the diners, grab plates of steaming hot food right off the counters, and the waitresses wouldn't notice. We'd punch buttons on vending machines and the snacks would just fall out. "Why are we here?" I asked him one night while sitting on a bench in Ohio. Mikey looked at his Raptor shirt, which stayed perfectly clean no matter what. "The world has glitches," he explained. "Rest stops are liminal spaces, they aren't destinations. They're just passing through. Some of us get stuck in the passing through part. But there was a darker side. Every few days, a black tanker truck with no windows and no license plate would pull into the lot. No one noticed it except us. When that truck arrived, the air became so cold your breath would freeze in your lungs. "That's the harvester," Mikey whispered. "When you see the black chrome, you run. If they catch you, you don't just stay in the waiting. You become part of the road itself." The high-speed chase. We decided to test the limits. We stole a Corvette Z06 from a guy who went inside to use the bathroom. I got behind the wheel, adrenaline surging. I floored it, screaming as the engine roared. We hit 120 miles per hour heading for the exit. Flash. We were at a rest stop in Florida. Flash. We were in Oregon. Every time the car tried to leave the property, the glitch reset us to a new location. But this time, we weren't alone. In the rearview mirror, I saw it. The black tanker truck. It was keeping pace with us, appearing at every single rest stop we flashed to. It was like a predator jumping through dimensions. I saw the driver's side window roll down. There was no face inside, just a mass of red, pulsing rubber. I veered the car into a ditch in a Montana rest stop to avoid being rammed. We scrambled out just as the tanker hissed to a stop. We hid in a drainage pipe, listening to the wet, heavy thud of rubber boots hitting the pavement above us. The other waiters. While hiding in the maintenance tunnels beneath a rest stop in Texas, Mikey told me the truth. He wasn't the only one. Over the years, there had been others, a girl from the 70s, a toddler from the 90s. "What happened to them?" I asked. Mikey pointed to the walls of the tunnel. There were names carved into the concrete, hundreds of them. Some were dated 1952. "The Red Gumbies got them," he said. That was his name for the things in the rubber suits. "They don't kill you. They take you to the processing center, a rest stop that doesn't exist on any map. They turn you into the static you hear on the payphones." I remembered the payphone in Vermont, the screaming static. I realized those weren't electronic noises. They were the voices of the lost, trapped in the wires of the highway system. I started to cry, realizing my parents were probably at my funeral, while I was eating stolen Snickers bars in a concrete hell. We were at a rest stop in Georgia when we saw it happen. A new kid had just glitched in. A young girl, maybe 6 years old, holding a teddy bear. She was wandering near the dog park area, crying for her mom. Suddenly, the black tanker appeared. 3 figures stepped out. They were tall, lanky, and covered head to toe in blood-red rubber. They didn't have eyes or mouths, just smooth, vibrating surfaces where faces should be. They moved with a jerky, stop-motion gait. They surrounded the girl. Mikey held me back, his hand trembling. "You can't help her, Dash. If you interfere, they'll take us both." We watched in horror as the Gumbies touched her. The moment their rubber fingers brushed her skin, she turned into a gray, translucent shadow. They picked her up like a piece of luggage and threw her into the back of the tanker. The truck vanished into thin air, leaving only the smell of burnt tires. I couldn't take it anymore. I started stealing maps from every welcome center we visited. I realized that if you connect the dots of every rest stop where we saw the Gumbies, it formed a pattern. It wasn't random. They were patrolling a grid. "Mikey, look," I said, spreading the maps across a picnic table in Nevada. "There's a dead zone in the center of the grid, a place where there are no rest stops for 200 miles. If we can get there, maybe the glitch breaks." Mikey shook his head. "To get there, you'd have to walk across the desert. The moment you leave the pavement, you flash. There's no way out, Dash. The road owns us." But then I saw something that broke my heart. A silver Subaru pulled into the lot. My dad stepped out. He looked 10 years older. He was holding a stack of missing flyers with my face on them. He taped one to the pillar right next to me. I reached out to touch his shoulder, but my hand just felt like a cold breeze to him. He shivered, wiped a tear, and drove away.